There we go.
Welcome to All Time Quarterback. I'm Jack Tomczak. Left to right on your radio dial, we have Aaron Pankey.
Good evening.
John Vitamus.
Top of the evening to you.
And the rest of the morning to you. The Green Bay Packers victorious over the hated Chicago Bears. Records thrown out the window, and for good cause. 23-16. The Green Bay Packers come away victorious. No surprise, I didn't watch the game. Though, looking through the stats of what happened, apparently I should have. Gentlemen, was it a good game?
I missed a little bit of it also.
What got in your way? Half of radio is getting the listeners to love the people who bring them the show. So what got in your way?
At some point there was some picture taking in a field of trees for possible Christmas cards.
So
it was delayed.
As a single person? Did you go to fields and get pictures taken, or is this something that came along with the wife and kids?
Wife and kids, which then delayed lunch.
Yeah,
which then caused us to go to a sandwich place, and we're a little late getting back, so we had to listen to the broadcast of the game on radio, which was tough because kids are screaming in the back.
Wives and children bring along many, many, many wonderful, wonderful things. Football time isn't one of them. My condolences.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. I love football time.
God, so envious. I love you, kids. I do.
But I missed just a little bit of at the beginning of the game, where it looks like Aaron Jones was carted off the field. Is that correct? I missed that part.
He walked off under his own power, and then they took him on a cart to the locker room. Undisclosed
from the sideline.
Yeah,
sideline cart.
Undisclosed knee injury is what it is being announced as of right now.
Well, it's got to be more than a sprain, you would think, then, right? Because a sprain maybe.
He's not a doctor.
I would think so, but I mean,
undisclosed for a reason.
Well, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions right away, but if you talk to a lot of people that have torn ACLs, most of the time they have the adrenaline to get off the field, and then once the training staff looks at them, they tell them to keep all their weight off of it.
So clearly the answer is more adrenaline to get you through the season.
Well, maybe if they weren't 4-4 going into this game, there would have been more adrenaline.
All right, Vinny, can you take us through if there are any defensive highlights? Chicago had a new quarterback on their end playing as well, right?
Yeah, they were playing against a rookie, Mitchell Trubisky, who looked fine. I mean,
Trubisky?
Actually, Trubisky.
Trubisky. Now, is this somebody who had played football before, or somebody that they just got off the street in Chicago with a name like Trubisky?
Yeah, he played in college. That's how he got to the pros. That's usually the channel that most guys take.
Most. That guy from that Eagles movie that Disney made. I think Marky Mark was his name.
Yeah,
they just plucked him out of an underwear commercial and put him in at wide receiver.
That's my inspiration to make the roster as a bartender right now. That's really what I'm looking for. Is to
set him up and knock him down, Viddy.
Mitchell
will do, Coach. Will do.
Trubisky was the second overall pick in this year's draft. He did not begin the year as the starter, but I believe he took over after week 2. So he's got a few starts underneath his belt. Defensively, they looked like they played a rookie quarterback. They had 5 sacks, 3 of them from Nick Perry. So they were able to
Big Mama's house.
For the first time in a long time, they were able to put pressure on the quarterback, and that was nice to see. Honestly, I think the biggest defensive highlight they got was the break they got when Chicago challenged. There was a play, I want to say it was in the second quarter, maybe
early. Yeah.
Benny Cunningham took a screen pass and looked like he was diving at the pylon for a touchdown.
So he's reached out, fully extended,
trying to keep his feet from landing out of bounds before the ball hits the pylon. And Chicago challenged the play, thinking that they had a touchdown. As it turns out, the ball fell out of Cunningham's hands and then hit the pylon. So instead of Chicago getting the touchdown that they wanted from challenging it, they actually lost the ball to a turnover because it ended up being the Packers' ball on the 20-yard line.
Happy days are over. Benny Cunningham does not get the touchdown. The challenge works. TV ref.
Which I don't know if everybody knows that rule, but they explained it on the broadcast that you have to have complete control of the ball as it hits the pylon. Otherwise, it does go back as a touchback. So
correct. Now, the thing that I didn't understand, because I knew that part of the rule, but the thing that I did not understand was I thought that when you challenged a play to replay, you asked them to look for a specific thing. And I don't know if that changed recently or if that's been the rule all along, but they are allowed to replay every aspect of that play. I actually looked at the rule book before we went on the air just to make sure. Quote, all reviewable aspects of the play may be examined and are subject to reversal, even if they are not identified in the coach's challenge. That part I didn't know. I thought they were only allowed to look at the specific thing that you were challenging.
Now, do they have to? Could they overturn a non-touchdown to a touchdown also? Or does this, or change the call? Like, because some of those calls on the field, they decide not to challenge on because they're like, well, you're probably not going to get it because they should have called a touchdown or they should have called a turnover instead.
Anything that you would be able to challenge may be overturned.
Like so they any challengeable thing in a play they're reviewing.
Right. Like you wouldn't be able, like if somebody caught a touchdown pass and that play was challenged, they wouldn't be able to go back and say that's pass interference because that's a judgment call. Like they wouldn't be able to assess a penalty that is based on a judgment call. But
like holding?
That's not challengeable.
Okay.
Getting back to the game.
Yeah, but that was a huge break. That was a huge swing.
The thing that I noticed for the defensive part, which I think probably a lot of people did, is that Jordan Howard really didn't get going at all.
No, the Bears had absolutely zero running game, really.
Their run game was pretty non-existent, and I would have guessed that he would have had more like 100 yards.
Is he a good running back?
Yeah, he's very talented, and the Packers have given up quite a bit of rushing yards as of late to some running backs. So I would have assumed it would have continued.
Did the Packers defense stop him or did the Bears offense stop him?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, Howard only had 15 carries. They only ran the ball 17 times as a team. So, but, for most of the second half, they were trailing in the game and needed to get the ball downfield. So, but the Packers played pretty well against the run, but they also didn't try to run the ball very much as a team. So
that works well.
Well, right. And I think, especially when you are starting a rookie quarterback, a lot of times defenses are going to try and stop the run on you, or also take away your top receiver. Yeah, kind of make you beat them. And, I think that's probably the game plan that they went with which the Bears probably had the same game plan against us. I mean,
right. And the Packers ended up with 37 carries. So there was more of a commitment from Green Bay. Obviously, they were running out the clock in the fourth quarter, but there was definitely more of a commitment.
Can we have a change of possession and talk offense unless there's more on defense?
No, I think this is a good time. After Aaron Jones went out, Ty Montgomery came in. And then he scooted for a nice long run for a touchdown. And then they continued to run with him a little bit more. And then he was out with an injury on the sideline. What would you say that was in the second quarter sometime, probably?
Yeah, I think it was later on in the second quarter because I think his touchdown was early in the second quarter.
Yeah.
The report I was reading is that he re-injured his ribs.
Yes. And report I had seen, when asked about it, he didn't respond.
Because he was wincing in pain, or is he being secretive?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's being.
What's wrong?
Even on his Twitter, he hasn't mentioned anything.
So an injury so bad he can't type with his thumbs. That's serious.
Yeah. But then they had to go to Jamal Williams,
Who?
and actually, he was the number 2, actually, coming into the season, and then I think he came in. What was it? Like 1 or 2 plays, and then he got nicked up, and then Aaron Jones came in and played really well. So then they just rode that hot hand, and now they're back to Jamal Williams. And the other exciting thing, I think, was that they were a little bit more creative on offense because you saw Randall Cobb in the backfield quite a bit more, and they ran with him.
Aaron, isn't that something you said last week, that the Packers should take this opportunity and shake things up and do some different formations? The thing that popped into my head, I didn't say it because I couldn't think of the name, was a Wildcat formation. And the one that Phillips did where nobody protected the ball, but I don't know what that was. But I thought of that, and then the Packers did that just like you said.
Yeah, so I mean it was great to see there was a little bit more.
Hey, listen.
Of a game plan. I mean, it was, compared to last week's, which was very vanilla. This one seemed like it tried to utilize the players. Maybe that's just getting the whole system working together, or maybe they knew that this was more of a game to get, so they hid some things from last week.
You guys know the scene in Billy Madison where Adam Sandler's character calls Steve Buscemi up and apologizes?
Yeah.
And then
off the list.
Steve Buscemi crosses him off the list. Yeah. Did you do that with Mike McCarthy's name, Aaron, when you saw some offensive creativity, or is he still on your list for getting?
I didn't. Well, see, I'm still in the camp, and we'll get to this. I'm in the camp that we're going to go to the playoffs. So,
me too. My uninformed opinion.
Yeah,
me too.
That's still crazy talk right now, but let's get into that. But there was in the broadcasters. Now let's flip the side. So they had 160 yards rushing. They had more rushing yards than passing yards at one point of the game. Yeah. Into the fourth quarter, I think, even third quarter, fourth quarter. The passing game ended just over 200 yards, I think. Yeah. And you saw Hundley at one point make an amazing throw to Adams for the touchdown, like a throw you would normally see Aaron Rodgers throw. And it was exciting to see. Now, we're used to having Rodgers do those nonstop throughout the game, and for Hundley to just have one, that was pretty cool.
Shows he can do it.
Well, and here's the thing I'll say
like that, so shows he's got it in him.
Here's the thing I'll say about that. That was the first time I'd ever seen Brett Hundley throw to what I believe was his fourth option on a play. Because if you look at the beginning of that play, Davante Adams wasn't even running a route. The only time Davante Adams headed towards the end zone was after Brett Hundley decided to start scrambling.
Right. Which drops back. He drops back. He's looking to his left. The rush is coming. He makes a little duck move. He runs out. There's open grass to the right. He runs out there. He sort of points his finger to Adams, get in the end zone, and he just.
Would you say, Mr. Pankey, would you say that Brett Hundley was like a kid out there?
Well, I'm sure he enjoyed himself. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's a wonderful.
Yep. Just loves the game so much. Yep.
He got a big hug from Rodgers, which I was a little mad at. That you shouldn't hug Rodgers.
Yeah, can you not slap a guy on his broken collarbone?
Well, you're the guy who likes throwing touchdowns. That's exactly what you do.
I get you excited. But then But then a little bit after that, he makes another amazing throw on a third and short, maybe third and
Can
long.
I make a quick point on the previous play?
Sure.
Again, I didn't see it, but going off of your very exciting and vivid description of what happened, the fact that Hundley didn't just run it, that John, you said that the guy caught it was his fourth option.
Yeah.
So the fact that he stayed behind the line of scrimmage, didn't panic and crap himself like I would have done and just ran for a few yards. He remembered he's the quarterback and it's his job to throw. What great presence of mind for a young guy. Yay.
Sure. That was one bright spot. Let's talk about some of the negative times when he
Just wait before we go on to the great throw that he made in the fourth quarter.
We found our next Hall of Fame quarterback. 1, 2, 3, right in a row.
Okay, but here's the problem. Here's the only problem that I have with that throw is that I really sincerely hope that he is not waiting every play to make that throw, because he still had moments today where he held onto the ball too long. And if he's just waiting to make that perfect throw,
a little hot.
Well, I understand for a quarterback as good as yourself, you just want to fall down and just get the play over with. But he's just waiting for something to open up.
His birthday cake is nice, but there's too much frosting on it.
Well, there was a few times where he had open grass.
Yes.
To the right.
Yep.
And he's moving out into the open grass, and he could have just taken off and ran. He could have gotten 10 yards with his legs, but he threw the ball out of bounds. But instead, he does
have more decision-making improvement to make.
He's not.
I'm not saying make him president. I'm saying not bad quarterbacking.
Well, no, it would have one quarterback
at this point, we have one good pass that we're excited about.
Yes.
I'll tell you about the other one.
I was more excited about the second one.
You are?
I was, yeah.
I think it was a third. It was
third and it wasn't long, but I don't think it was short either. I think it was like 3rd and 6 maybe ish. I could be wrong.
And it's a point in the game where most likely teams are going to just not get the first down, punt it, and just let their defense sort of finish the game, right? There was maybe...
Yeah, full disclosure, that's what I said they should have done at the time.
3 minutes, right? There's 3 minutes or something
just
left.
Get your 3 yards, punt the ball, get it over with.
Let them have it. Instead, I think it's Adams, right?
Yeah, it was Adams. And it was a great catch as well.
Streaking down the field, and he puts it right where Adams basically just has to go like this with his, I'm kind of close, but he just has to kind of stick his arm out, and it just falls right in his arm.
Well, he had to stick his one arm out because the other one was getting pinned to his body by the defender.
Sure, that's against the rules. But he just caught it one-handed. But it was right there.
But it was right on the money.
Right.
But he, and the thing that was exciting about that throw was that he threw it early.
Yeah.
He threw it right when Adams was even with the defender, knowing that Adams was going to have more room to free himself from the defender. Obviously not well enough because he was probably interfered with, but
2-3 seconds to run.
Right. But he got rid of the ball right when he should have. Didn't hold on to it trying to make a play. I mean, that's the most exciting part of the throw, is that he had made up his mind early. His guy was open. Throw it.
His guy would be open.
Well,
would be.
That's the big difference.
It was snap second and a half, and he launched it.
Maybe he panicked.
And that's the big difference, because the biggest difference so far between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Hundley is that Aaron Rodgers has an innate ability to throw his receivers open. Brett Hundley hasn't shown that until that throw. Aaron Rodgers makes throws when guys aren't open, but he will throw the ball to a spot where his receiver will be open.
Does he make the receiver go there? Is that the plan? Or because he's going to where Rodgers threw the ball, he is thus then open?
Sometimes it is a little bit of both, because sometimes it's where the route is going. The receiver just hasn't made his break yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when there is blanket coverage and Aaron Rodgers will just throw the ball, 5 yards to the left because he knows his receiver is going to be able to make a move on the ball better than the defender will.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that Brett Hundley hasn't shown yet. And that's why I'm more excited about that last throw to Devontae Adams than I was to the touchdown to Devontae Adams.
I think it's growth. I mean, that's what
absolutely.
That's what we're excited. We saw absolutely nothing last week, and we saw 2 exciting plays. We saw some creative offense with scheme. We saw a new running back, and there was a few times when he ran the ball and he ran through 2 or 3 guys. I'm like, well, wow.
Yeah, and you know what?
Wow.
He had 20 carries for 67 yards today, which doesn't sound all that great, but he had ball security and he did a good job of chewing up yards when they needed to run out the clock. And with the other 2 guys being banged up, he may be the guy going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Yeah.
What is a better environment for a quarterback, all things being equal, for a quarterback to learn the position in the NFL? Being on a good team, filling the shoes of a great quarterback, playing the role of quarterback on a team where people are used to playing with a great quarterback, or being on a crappy team where everybody sucks, where there's no pressure to fill big shoes.
I think the best spot is that you can learn from someone, hopefully somebody that's a veteran, at least for a year. And then I guess preferably you're already on a good team where you can kind of come in that way. But
yeah, because here's the thing is there is pressure to replace a all-world quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and you could probably ask Aaron Rodgers himself, and he would say the same thing of having to replace Brett Favre. But I think it is more difficult to be on a crappy team, because once you become the starting quarterback, you are, for lack of a better term, the savior that's coming in to save an entire franchise, an entire city. Would I be the next quarterback of the Browns? Sure, because it would represent a huge pay raise for what I do now. I mean, if you ask any other starting quarterback in the league, they're not going to want to be the quarterback of the Browns because they don't want that. They don't want to put Cleveland on their back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, there's pressure on Hundley to replace Rodgers, but he doesn't have to replace he doesn't put the entire franchise on his shoulders.
Sure.
He all he has to do is navigate us through these next set of games. And that's it. And that's where I'm telling you the playoff hunt is still there. Now, we talked about firing guys last week. I mean, we were just all over that topic.
What was that look, Vinny?
And you're already done.
Not watching this. There's an exasperated hand to the forehead from John Vitimus. What was that all about? You don't think we're going to the playoffs?
No, I don't.
Playoffs?
No. And to be fair, I have not crossed Billy Madison's name off the list yet either.
All right, so let me just talk you through my thoughts.
Okay. All right.
So next week, we're going to play the Ravens, and they're going to come to our place. Again, away team, just, you play at home. I always feel a little bit better. Now, Vegas says otherwise. The Ravens are coming off of a bye, but their team they're not stellar, right? They're a middle of the road.
They're pretty less
team.
than good. Yeah.
Less than good. So there's a chance. Now they're a little bit better than Chicago.
You're saying there's a chance.
Let's talk. They're a little better than Chicago, but we're not playing them in Baltimore.
Correct.
The following week
in Chicago.
Or in Chicago.
I will make it
the following week we play the Steelers. They're a very good football team.
That's a loss.
Okay. So right now, if
let's call Baltimore a win.
Let's call Baltimore a win. We're 6-4.
I'm calling
Let's
it a win on your behalf.
Steelers, that's a loss.
That's
we'll count
a loss.
that one.
Yeah.
So now we're 6-5.
Yeah.
Then we're going to play the Buccaneers.
That's a win.
No, their quarterback is hurt, right?
Well, yeah, but they were 2-6 before he got hurt, so I wouldn't.
And their coach may get fired. So by that point, the problem is if their coach actually gets fired the week before, because then usually they play inspired ball, which would then kind of be a tough game.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably better that he stays and then he loses his job after that.
Yeah.
But so that's a win. So now we're at 7 wins, 7-5, right?
7-6.
7-6. 7-6. Then we play the Browns.
There's a chance that's the Browns' first victory of the year.
They're looking at a bartender in Sheboygan for their next quarterback. I think we're going to be fine. Is that where you live, Sheboygan?
Yeah. Are you breaking that news? Like, have they actually? Do you have sources that are saying
they're looking at tape? This tape.
All right. So you want to count that a loss?
No, it's a win.
Let's either count that as a win or Baltimore as a loss. Either one.
They're
right?
7-7 after the Cleveland game.
Okay. We're 7-7.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Okay, 7-7 going into Carolina.
Can't be 7-7. Can't be 7-7. We'd be 7-6.
I don't do math. Viddy's the math guy, actually.
5-5, 6-5.
We've lost the Steelers game.
7-6.
Okay, 7-6.
Now at 7-6, you have 3 more games.
Yeah.
And if Rodgers can come back for that Carolina game, now these are 3 tough games. You got Carolina. Who's 6-3? We'll see how real they are next week
at Carolina
or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then we get the Vikings, who are for real,
and
then we got the Lions. If we get to 10 wins, that's a possible playoff. That's a wild card possible playoff.
Easy.
All right, I want to talk about that December 23rd game in Green Bay with the Minnesota Vikings coming to town when we're there.
Yeah, sure, I'm just saying.
I'm ready to talk about it. Unless you got stuff on the Panthers that game, but I got news to break on the Vikings game.
I'm just saying Hundley just needs to navigate through those games. And if Rodgers now, if the rest of the NFC looks like there's the playoff, the wild card's going to end up being a much higher spot than that, and we'll see how the Lions play too.
Let's say you got those next 4. Right, you're 2-2 in the next 4 weeks, and you're 7-6 going into the Carolina game, which, at best case scenario, is when Aaron Rodgers comes back. If you're 7-6 and you are 3 games out of a playoff spot with 3 weeks to go, do you still bring Aaron Rodgers back?
Yes.
Really?
Well, yeah, because who do you got, right? Who's good?
Coach, John.
I mean, the scariest team to play is probably New Orleans because their coach and their quarterback have been there. The Rams, that will be their first time in the playoffs in a long time. The Eagles, that will be the first time for their coach and their quarterback.
The Vikings
I'm just saying,
can't help but crap the bed when it matters. They're asphyxiation artists.
No, this is Case Keenum.
This is a Case Keenum. It's a Case Keenum Vikings team.
You have not observed this organization as I have from inside enemy territory.
You haven't watched football in 15 years.
It doesn't matter. I've been there. I know.
He's been with those people.
I breathe the same air, guys.
He knows their doubt.
But the Vikings' failure is not players, it's not plays, it's not coaches, it's not schemes. They're, as an institution, are morally corrupt. They've got nothing. It's just death. Their heart is death. They'll F it up. Now,
that seems like
now their owner is
Ziggy Wolf.
Yeah.
Ziggy Wolf?
Yeah. Mobbed up.
So he's
I don't know. He's from New Jersey.
Allegedly.
Aren't they all mobbed up? I'm just saying. The stadium, it kills birds. Now, I was listening.
Clean the glass so often.
I was listening to Vikings postgame today, and which is done by Corey Cove, who I know personally. He worked on the other side of the wall, with his very successful, highly rated morning show when I was working on the AM side.
He's a reputable journalist.
No, he's a dick. An absolute dick. Personally, he's just not a nice person.
You can scratch that name off the list of possible guests.
Oh yeah, I see him at Target in the neighborhood. He lives within a quarter mile or half mile from me. I see him out in real life from time to time, and after I got fired, he's always on his phone when I see him. I know that game, Corey. I know that game. But he said, well, they were looking at the future of the Minnesota Vikings. He's too smart as a professional broadcaster to say it publicly, but I know what they're thinking. Super Bowl. This is the year. And when it came to the Vikings driving down, because I assume they drive in their own cars, down Highway 29 to Lambeau Field to Titletown to play the Green Bay Packers, Mr. Cove, or Sludge, as I will call him, not because that's his radio nickname, because that's what I think of him as a person. Dismissed the Green Bay Packers. Said the co-host said, well, it's in Lambeau. That's going to be tough. Mr. Cove, Mrs. Cove said, nothing. This division is ours. Might be. But that game, I say Aaron Rodgers, take the Panther game off. Rest up. You come back at home against the team that thinks they're your rival, and they'd put on a clinic. Not of throwing, not of passing, not of touchdowns, but of ass kicking. That's when he comes back.
I don't know.
He has to get practice in the regular season to knock the rust off for his run in the postseason to the Super Bowl.
I think we need him for the Carolina game, though. I think we need that in our math.
I just don't think it's going to make a difference.
You don't think the new Brettontown can beat the Panthers? What is a panther? It's a house cat. Who's their quarterback?
Former MVP Cam Newton.
Former MVP. Is he the MVP right now? No, he's not.
No, but he's the MVP more recently than Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers isn't playing that game. Brett Hundley is.
So then that game is a loss, and there's no reason to bring Aaron Rodgers back anyway.
It's a win.
I'm just saying he just needs to
Maybe
navigate.
something happens to Cam Newton.
So I'm sure the coaches are thinking about that too. They're probably like, let's see what we're going to get this Ravens game. Play a vanilla game plan against the Steelers.
Now, okay. I just think it needs to be said, because you're saying we're going to go 2-2 in the next 4 weeks with Brett Hundley as your quarterback. However, and hey, win is a win today. You get a win, that's a win. But
John Madden. Thanks, Mr. Obvious.
But
what's a loss?
But it should say something that the coach you just got done beating had to spend 15 minutes answering questions about job security after the loss. So if John Fox is having to answer questions about job security as head coach of the Bears for losing to Brett Hundley, that should tell you a little bit about where the Packers stand without Aaron Rodgers.
Well, sure, but the Browns and the Browns will be saying that. I mean, they'll be having those discussions. Tampa Bay may be having those discussions too.
Well,
Baltimore
Baltimore's going to have those discussions too.
But, yes, so right, we're playing three teams that are possibly.
Well, every team that we beat.
But maybe those are all job-saving wins too.
The Ravens, the Steelers, the Buccaneers, the Browns, the Panthers, and the Vikings, and whoever's at the Lions, they're all going to have to answer that question. Well, up until the Panthers, how did you lose to Brett Hundley?
Right.
Because we're going to win those, John. That's why they play the game. Any given Sunday. They don't just look at, I guess this is a win, this is a loss. Why bother playing football? It's done.
But I think
crown their asses, John.
I think they are who we thought they were.
Yeah,
we let them off the hook.
Yeah.
I think you're forgetting a very key point, Jack, and I hate to bring it up, but
I don't know anything about professional football. How dare you?
No, the Bears games are the only ones we throw the records out the window. Yeah.
The Lions games
we
throw them the mascots out the window?
Well, what we do, we don't have
Lions
a mascot,
might, but the
what hell is
Packers
a
don't
Packer?
have one.
Just a dude loading stuff.
Fooled
No.
you.
No. Well, we're gonna be doing in Ravens, Steelers, Buccaneers, Browns, Panthers, Vikings, Lions game. We're not throwing the records out the window. We're throwing touchdowns. 2 football players.
No,
Quick
let's
question.
get back to the team because I got a concern.
I never left the team, Aaron.
I got a concern about the current team right now.
Okay.
Sure we have injuries. Sure we have a backup quarterback. I'm a
But we
little
got hard.
concerned. I'm a little concerned about the kicking game.
It's bad.
Well,
You're only gonna need to do that once.
we're on our third snapper.
It sounds dirty. She's kind of a third snapper. You know what I mean?
We're on our third snapper.
Check out
and
that
Crosby-
third snapper.
And Crosby can't score anymore. I mean, he hit the crossbar. He missed one. The week before he missed one. Is he fallen back into that slump, or are we just in a rough patch?
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, are we just in a rough patch, or
Well, I'm sure that if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, he'd make those kicks. So that's another reason that we need to get that guy back.
okay?
Maybe
So don't
Crosby's
kick
leg
it for
broke his
4
collarbone.
weeks.
Just go for 2 every time you score a touchdown.
Is that a possibility? Can we do that?
You can't
Well,
do that.
I don't think they have an offense to do that, but they could.
Wildcat.
I mean, the rules dictate that you can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is legal.
Can you just bypass the extra point? We're good with 6. Thank
We're
you.
Moving on. We're not gonna get
we're
it
not
either
gonna,
way.
No, you keep it. We're
Tell you
fine.
what, we won't kick this, but we'll only take a half point anyway. So
Yeah.
give us a half point. We'll call it a day.
The crappy kicker rule.
Ooh,
Uh,
that should be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Kind of a
guys are
third
not
snapper.
you're not overly concerned. You have some concern, not overly concerned.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't pay enough attention to know
It's not-
Crosby's first name. So
It's not high on my list of things. Mason
All right.
Crosby is not high on my
We
list.
got Baltimore. John? Who does Baltimore have? What do we got to look out for this game?
That's a good question.
They
I
still
mean,
got Flacco, right?
Yep, the most overpaid quarterback in the league. Yep.
till next week when you're a Brown.
They got
I think I will
Wallace?
be aptly paid. Yeah, they have Wallace. I think Macklin's close to coming back. I think I'm not 100% sure on that. Alex Collins has turned himself into a pretty good running back.
they got some running game, right? And they
yeah.
throw the ball to the running backs a lot. So they got Buck Allen.
Yeah. Defensively, they're middle of the road. I don't think they're anything to write home about, but they will be able to put pressure on Brett Hundley. That is one thing that they do fairly well. Yeah,
The line held up okay. I mean, we still saw some mistakes though.
well, yeah, but you're going to have that when Brett Hundley's holding the ball for 8 seconds. I mean,
Did
that's-
the Ravens have a bye today?
Ooh,
Yeah, yes, they
yes.
have
Yeah,
Right,
I
so
don't
they're going to be
remember.
well rested.
Yeah, super.
Any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. There you go.
Anyone?
So, okay, quick question, then we'll wrap it up. Do you think that there is a better chance of the Packers making the playoffs this season, or Mike McCarthy losing his job at the end of this season?
Playoffs.
And I'll hang up and listen.
So a better chance of the Packers making the playoffs or better chance of Mike McCarthy losing his job after the season?
Yeah.
The playoffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go playoffs. Better chance to make the playoffs. Usually it's you have to make a coaching change. That's what Ted will say to him, but he won't actually fire him, so he'll end up firing somebody else. Or they've always do that, run around and they fire a bunch of other
Yeah, blame
coaches.
somebody else. When all else fails, blame somebody else.
Right.
How long
I'm
is
going to
Ted-
say he gets fired.
I would say they fire Ted. Or Ted
Fingers
retires.
crossed. Fingers
Or he
crossed.
retires maybe. I
He'll
don't know.
retire before he gets fired because they'll give him the option.
Because he's already won a Super Bowl, of course they will.
Yeah.
Because they got
That's
to put
fair.
a name on his street or something.
Everybody should get that option. Hey, in 3 minutes you're going to be fired. You could take the save yourself some trouble and just quit right now.
I'm doing this for free. I mean,
Yeah, okay, but if you're Ted
Okay,
Thompson
I'll
and you have
quit.
like three
All right.
3 years, but if you're Ted Thompson and you have 3 years left on your contract, you just make them fire you so that you get the rest of the contract paid to you anyway.
Well, and if you quit, you don't get unemployment. You know, that's $400 a week that Ted's not going to have. So
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm probably pretty sure we're hiding money anyway. So
Of course we are. We have nothing but undrafted free agents on our defense.
we probably have no debt anywhere. The stadium's just
Paid for by the
Hey guys,
residents. Yeah.
suckers who bought shares.
hey fans.
Yeah. That's this guy. This guy right here.
Well, I'm
Sorry.
going it now.
My internet got slow because I tried to look something up.
All right. Well,
Cool.
my score for next week is 23-16.
Mine is 6-0. No, Packers.
Packers. We're counting this as a win.
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. Packers win 6-0.
You want to count the Browns as a loss, so
No. Oh yeah, I did.
When you're quarterback, John,
I'm
you
still
can just
gonna-
throw that game
Ooh.
hey, we need to bring Paul back after the Browns game.
because he knows more about football than I do. Okay.
That's partially.
And-
And,
Oh,
he's a Browns fan.
Browns fan. He's a Browns fan.
He's
we
the
know-
Browns fan.
Do we know any Ravens fans?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I don't think
Nope.
I do.
Nope.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Some like
I'm
early
gonna say-
Colts fans, but then no
I'm going to
Ravens
say
fans.
17-16 Baltimore.
Wait, what was that?
I'm going to say 17-16 Baltimore.
All right, John's a jerk,
Yep.
a realistic jerk. All right, we'll see you next week. Go Pack 6-0. Brett Hundley, future Hall